Hello, and welcome to my channel. My name is Jonathan Cohn, and today I will be discussing my review of the novelization of Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan by Vonda McIntyre. This is the third novelization for Star Trek that I've read. I also read last year Star Trek VI: The Undiscovered Country, one of my favorite movies, and amazing novelization. I also read, about a month ago, Star Trek III: The Search for Spock novelization, which I also really liked the movie and loved the novelization to it. I thought these were both fantastic novelizations. So I've been on a novelization kick, which is usually rough for me because normally I don't enjoy novelizations that much. So I was like, I'm going to keep this going, keep this energy going. And then I picked up this book, and it's not a bad novelization, but it's certainly not as good as the other two that I read. To get into the specifics, this book focuses a lot more on the main story of the book than the other two did. The other two really go wild telling other parts of the story, more details, whereas Search for Spock, it felt like we were telling an entirely different story with how much was added, whereas with The Undiscovered Country, it felt like there were just little scenes added here and there, but there were so many of these little scenes added, but they still added to the overall Undiscovered Country narrative. This book, it has two sideline stories that it adds to, several scenes for these characters, but it doesn't feel like a lot is added. It feels like just very simple character-based, and that's where I think the issue is. The two stories are, I think, essentially the best part of the book, but they're not that great. You have Lieutenant Savik's story, and then you have Peter Preston's story, and they kind of interweave at some points. And Lieutenant Savik, of course, introduced in The Wrath of Khan. They changed the actress for Search for Spock and The Voyage Home. And Savik gets a lot of attention in this book, and I'm realizing, man, Savik is an underused character because I really like reading about her. She has very complex emotions in that she wants to uphold the tenets of the Vulcans, but she feels so afraid because of her heritage that she won't be able to, that she'll let someone down. And you see that kind of fear and anger and even hope at times show through with her character, and it makes it really interesting. At the same time, you have her trying to understand aspects of the Federation, of Starfleet, of understanding what it means to be a good leader. And so I highly enjoyed getting to read about her journey through Starfleet, even though, this is a very contained story, you find out information about her past. Her interactions with Admiral Kirk are great, her interactions with Spock are great, and her interactions with Peter Preston are great. Then you have Peter Preston, who kind of has this Wesley Crusher kind of story to him. If the movie had included the scenes of Peter Preston, which I think they were good for the movie, that they were cut, but if they had included the scenes with Peter Preston, I'm sure he would have gotten the Wesley Crusher treatment of everyone being annoyed with him, because he does kind of have that annoying character vibe. I quite enjoyed him in the book, and I thought it worked really well. The way that he has two avenues, he respects his uncle, Scotty, quite a lot, but at the same time, he also wants to make a name for himself, and he doesn't want to just be the kid that respects Uncle Scotty, and so he kind of tries to break away from Scotty in the book, and he has this dual fight within him that is really interesting. The problem is it doesn't really go anywhere, because if you've seen Wrath of Khan, you know he dies pretty early on in the movie. And it's just, it feels like maybe it felt like they should have saved Peter Preston's death for the end of the third act. He should have also died around the time that Spock died, although that may have taken away from Spock's death, perhaps. It just felt like, we've been building this character up, he's dead. And now everyone else around him gets to react. Now, the reactions in Search for Spock to his death were fantastic. I really liked the way the reactions were done. But in this book, it just felt cheap. It just felt like, I just need to add some more. Because if you take out the added scenes in this book, This book's a lot shorter, and it feels maybe only like 150 pages, not even a full-length book. It's more like a novella without them. And so when it comes to the actual story of The Wrath of Khan, it goes by super quick. And when Vonda McIntyre is telling the main story, she's not like adding a lot of like dialogue or extra scenes. She's just going through, making the plot go by really fast. And I like Wrath of Khan. I think it's a good movie. It's not my favorite Star Trek film. In fact, I would actually kind of put it in the middle of my rankings of the Star Trek movies. My top 3 are still Voyage Home, Undiscovered Country, and Search for Spock. And so this is like number 4-ish. And even then, I think some of the other ones might be up there, like the JJ ones. Maybe First Contact is battling. Like, I like Wrath of Khan, I just don't love it. But the novelization, it works, but it just doesn't add enough to make me think I need to go rewatch the movie for that. It makes me think about other things, and this novelization made me wish we had more books about Saavik, and it made me look up and see, do we have other books featuring, or comics featuring Saavik? She's all over the comics, but she's in very few of the books, I noticed. I thought that was weird. So I'm interested in reading more about her, but it doesn't make me feel like I need to read more Star Trek in general, like the other books did, and like the other Star Trek works I've read recently. So it's not, I don't feel like I'm gushing, but I also don't want to sell this book as, oh, it's a bad novelization. I don't think it does a bad job. I just think it does mediocre to good, which is why I will give this a 6.5 out of 10. Not a bad book, but not a great one either. It's a good novelization. If you want a novelization for Star Trek, and you want to read a novelization of Star Trek with Vonda McIntyre, I highly recommend reading Search for Spock instead. Adds much more. So, that is my thoughts on Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan novelization. If you've read this, let me know what you think. Do you think that the scenes added enough for you? Do you think you needed more? Did you get the Wesley Crusher vibe from Peter Preston? Let me know all those thoughts in the comments down below. If you're interested in reading Star Trek and you have questions for me, leave those in the comments down below. I post videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And until next time, I'm Jonathan, and thank you for watching.